You're listening to Leadership Loading, a podcast that inspires leaders to be continuous learners and provides insight for those making the leap from the front line to the boardroom. My name is Jason McLaren, and I'm an Air Force firefighter veteran and safety expert turned entrepreneur and nonprofit director. I'm sitting down with industry leaders to talk about their leadership traits and lessons they have learned that can make an impact on future leaders. Hey everyone, it's Jason McLaren. Today our guest is a Army and Navy veteran and cyber intelligence analyst. She's going to talk today about women in the STEM career, science, technology, engineering, and math. And we're going to talk a little bit about the struggles she faced growing up, getting into the military, and how she has made the most out of her career and her book and coaching opportunities that she has available. So with that, let's get the download from Trina Martin. Hey everybody, it's Jason McLaren. I'm the host for Leadership Loading podcast, and my guest today is Trina L. Martin. She's an author, speaker, and a coach who inspires emerging leaders to pursue their wildest dreams with heart and grit. After several years in the Army, Trina transferred to the Navy and earned her MBA from Western International University. And naturally skilled at finding the harmony between technology, science, and data, she has led a stellar career in the information technology field. I just want to welcome her today and hope that we get some valuable insight from her. Welcome, Trina.
Hi, Jason. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on. So your background is science, technology, engineering, and math. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing now after you got out of the military?
Oh, well, I actually started my business as coaching, and I'm doing leadership coaching and personal development. And I also, I'm a cyber analyst for the three-letter agency. So I've programmed for 20 years. I was a computer programmer. I wrote code and maintained multi-million-dollar systems for major corporations. And my bachelor's degree is in computer science, and we're going to talk on that, I believe. But at a time when I got that degree, I was only one of very few women who actually had a degree in computer science. So I'm very proud of that.
Definitely. It's historically been a male-generated field or male-dominated field, like you said. But what was your big why for choosing to go into STEM?
So I'm going to take you back and give you a little background. So I was born and raised in Chicago, and I ended up going to at the time was ranked the number one high school in Chicago, which was a technical high school. And going to that high school actually exposed me to computers, which I'm talking about the early 80s where, I just had an old typewriter in my house. Right. So computers, I was like, wow, this is fascinating. And, you start out, programming, you learn the basics of programming. You do the little code where it's like, oh, hi, you type something in and it sends it back to you. And I just thought that was fascinating. Right. I said, wow, I think this is something that I want to pursue. So I was very deliberate and very intentional when it was time for me to go to college to actually get a degree in computer science, because I had done my research and I had found that, one, not many universities offered a actual degree in computer science. Now, there's information management and information business systems and things of that nature, but very few offered a actual degree in computer science. And as we know still today, there are very few women who actually have that degree and work in that field. So that's what I did. And I ended up doing that because I just saw the possibilities. I was going, wow, this is very fascinating to me, the fact that I can write a program to make a computer do what I tell it to do. And I had such great success with my career. Like I said, for 20 years, I programmed for major corporations and on major systems, and just seeing what I could do with just code, it's amazing. I mean, I ran companies by the programs that I wrote, and that has just, it served me well. And that the mathematics and the science is something that has always intrigued me. So that's what brought me to where I am today.
Yeah, like you said, companies run on code. I mean, I'm in the healthcare sector, and as you know, everything's digital now. There's no more patient records, and those fields and individuals in those career fields are in such high demand. It's just even hard to recruit for them because, like you said, you got the opportunity to go pretty much anywhere you want to go. So it's like you're the draft pick. And
Mm-hmm.
all right, so let's go back. Let's talk a little bit about your military career. You did 30 years in the military?
Yes, and currently I am actually still in the reserves, but yes, and again, this hits on my background. So I went off to college, and I was the first in my family to go to college, and I was self-financing. So I got into college, I did a year, and I said, boy, I have to find a way that something that's going to help me pay for my college education. So I ended up getting into the Army, and it's funny because I was a naive 19-year-old. College was my first time away from home. I go to the recruiter, and he goes, you know what? This MOS right here, this profession, it offers a $20,000 bonus. And I said, wow, really? He said, yeah. I said, well, what is it? He said, oh, chemical specialist. I said, wow, so is that, I'll be a chemist, I'll be in a lab, white coat and all. He was like, yeah, that's exactly what you'll be doing. I said, oh, great. So I'm thinking, $20,000, I'm 19, I'm a poor college student, sign me up.
Right.
So I get through all my basic training and everything, and I head off to my advanced individual training. Well, that chemical specialist was not being a chemist; it was being a person that was MBC, which now they call it CBRN, but
Right.
nuclear biological chemicals. And this was 1990, so the Gulf War was going on, and I was thinking, what did I get myself into? And it really resonated after I got all trained up when they put me on the list to go to Iraq for the Gulf War. And I got lucky because at the last minute they said, well, we don't need any more ground troops, but, stand by. So that was my entry into the military. Now, a couple years after that, I said, this is not really what I had planned for my military career. So I ended up transferring over to the Navy, which I have been in ever since. I ended up getting my commission as an officer in the Navy. And here I am 30 years down the road. And it's funny because I look back now, and a career that I started just to finance my way through school that I thought was only going to be 4 years ended up being 30.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people can resonate with that story of being told one thing and getting into something else when they get in. I know I went in open general, so I went in not even knowing what my job was going to be, and that was even more risky. But yeah, that CBRNE is a tricky subject there.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, your story really resonates with me because looking at your background, we've got similar backgrounds, growing up with financially struggling families and, trying to take care of the other people in our family. With that, what motivates you to go to the next level, and what motivates you to, go day to day? And I know that you talk a lot about setting your goals and achieving them. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. Well, as we already said, I've spent 30 years in the military. I've programmed for 20 years. I was the first in my family to go to college. I've traveled around the world, and I've been to places that I never even saw myself going to. And I've had great successes professionally, but personally, I've dealt with low self-esteem and not knowing my worth. See, my mother she was verbally abusive to me. I grew up daily with her telling me that I was ugly, that I wasn't a good daughter. Um, every word that she spoke to me was like a punch in the face. With each word she said, it made me shrink and feel worthless. So, as a result of that childhood, I ended up being a type A person, very driven to succeed. I also ended up becoming a pleaser, hoping to get love and support in return because I didn't get that love and support and encouragement from my mother. So what ended up happening is it took me a long time to work past that trauma and that anger and bitterness of my childhood to become the person that's sitting here speaking with you today, a person who is confident, a person who loves herself, and a person who's whole. So I sat back and I thought about it, and I realized that I was created to use my life story to impact other people and inspire other people. And that's why I do what I do, because I know with everything that I went through, that there's someone else out there who's going through the same thing or even worse. And I didn't have anyone to turn to. I didn't have anyone to look, towards, to model anything for me or to support me. And I want to be that person for someone else. I want to be the person that encourages and inspires other people.
Yeah, do you think that is a common denominator with the growing up either abused or poor or some other kind of trauma in your childhood that makes us great type A's? Because I think I'm the same way. I wasn't verbally abused by my mother at all, but growing up with a single mother led to that trauma, and seeing her go through all the marriages she went through and domestic violence. And of course, I did the same thing as you. I was sheltered and low self-esteem, went to 5 different high schools. But as soon as I went in the military, all that turned around and I was able to excel and become type A or rekindle my type A personality and, be where we're at today. So do you think that is a common factor?
It can be. And I won't say it's a common factor, because I think you and I are on the other side of the spectrum, because there are people who would have taken the situations that we have gone through and been the totally opposite of us. They would have said, you know what, this is my life. This is horrible. I have nothing, and this is the path I'm going to go down. So you look at some people who you say, wow, and I'm pretty sure you've done it in your life where you go, man, this person has this kind of life, but yet they turned out like this. My life was like this. And I think it all depends on the person and their mindset and really what they're determined to do. I'm pretty sure, just like you, I was determined to get away from home, get away from that verbal abuse, and to break that cycle of what I grew up in. Now, I know some other people probably would have taken that and just repeated it and gone through the same thing and maybe even gotten worse. You said you saw, domestic violence in your home. You could have turned around and been a person who committed domestic violence yourself, but you decided that that's not what you wanted. So it's all about the person, their mindset, and what they're aware of. If you recognize that the situation you're in is not optimal, that is not normal or beneficial, and you want to change that, I think, yes, you can change it. But I don't think that it's common for everyone to see that.
Yeah, I agree. You see both sides. You see people that are highly successful or come from successful families, and they end up on the other side. They end up in jail or, addicted to something. So yeah, it's all about what you make it and, what you do with your opportunities. So I agree.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move into leadership and self-care. I'm taking it from our discussion. You work full time and you do your business on the side?
Yes.
I'm the same way. I work full time, do my businesses on the side. So when you're managing all this workload and side hustles or even full-time hustles, when do you make time to unplug during the week?
That's a good question. Actually, sometimes I'm forced to do it because I go home and I'm going, okay, this is what I need to do now for my business. And I'm pushing. And sometimes my body just says, you can't do it. So what I've started doing is I've tried to be intentional on my self-care and when I spend time, with myself and for myself. So I'm a single mother. I have 2 teenagers, a girl and a boy. And one day out of the week, they spend the night with their father. And then, of course, every other weekend they go with him. And I try to use that time as my time. So like last night was the day that they went to their father's house to spend the night. And I got home last night and I said, I have XX to do on my schedule, what I need to do now. And finally I said, you know what? I'm not going to do this. I'm going to work out and then I'm just going to sit and relax. And I think everyone needs that kind of time, whether you're building your own business or you're not, if you're a leader or you're not, everyone needs time to recharge. You have to have that time because it makes you more effective. It makes you healthier. You can concentrate on your health. You can concentrate on your mental health, which is very important. It's just as important as your physical health. And honestly, I take that one day a week and I take some weekends and I use that to take my time to recharge. And some days during the week, I put all the business down and I say, you know what, I'm going to go treat myself to dinner. And that's what I do.
Yeah, I'm married and I've got a 3-year-old. So, I try to come home and give them time and then do my side hustle and full-time hustle stuff on the side. It's that whole entrepreneur mindset where you're doing the 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. is your business. Yeah. So where can the listeners find out more about you and if they wanted to book you for an event or whatever?
I have a new book that's out this month. It's called From a Mess to Amazing, 7 Steps to Create the Life You Deserve. And it's at everywhere books are sold. But if you want to book me for a speaking event or you want to hire me as your coach to work with you, go to my website. It is www.trinamartin.com. There you can reach out to me. My email address is nextlevel@trinamartin.com if you just want to contact me directly. I also have a podcast called Trina Talk. So for those who need some inspiration, who want to listen to the podcast. And I'm on social media, LinkedIn and Instagram.
Right. And what kind of topics do you talk about when you do speaking engagements?
I talk about, of course, leadership, personal development, career growth, goal setting, and I speak on women empowerment.
Well, Trina, thanks for coming on. Like I said, I'm really empowered by your background and what you've done, and just glad that we were able to have you on the show and able to put some of this knowledge out there and hopefully empower some other future and inspiring leaders.
Well, thank you, Jason, for having me, and hopefully someone got a nugget out of this that will help them go on with whatever they're trying to pursue.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll put your links to your book and your websites in the show notes. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
That's all for this episode. Thank you, Trina, for coming on and helping us be better leaders and just see some of the things that we can do, even though we may not have been set up for success from the beginning of our life. And make sure to check out the show notes and see all the resources that she has available for you. Check out her book and her website and get some more information.
Thanks for listening to the Leadership Loading Podcast. You can support this podcast on Patreon. Go to patreon.com/leadershiploading to get access to exclusive content, chats, and a whole lot more. Again, that's patreon.com/leadershiploading or visit our website, leadershiploading.com, for more options.